Welcome back. Today I'm going to try to solve some chess puzzles, and hopefully you'll learn something from this as I talk through my thought process as I go. But once again, mainly this is for me. I'm trying to get better at chess. So here we go. I'm going to click puzzles. I made it to 2083 the last time that I did rated puzzles, and hopefully I will get higher than that during the course of this video. In this position, my opponent is about to checkmate me here on b7. That's a one-move checkmate, if I'm not mistaken. So I have to check on every move or I will lose if I can't manage to get rid of one or both of those pieces. One check that I have in this position is, of course, rook to h1. I think that loses to the king just capturing it. Although I would have the follow-up check there, and then the king could capture that, or the rook could capture that. So I don't think that's any good. Another check that I have here is queen to e3, but it looks like the knight just takes back there, because I can't run with my king. No, I don't think anywhere I go with my king is going to solve that problem. That's just going to be checkmate. Is that the only check I have with the queen? No, I can take this pawn on d4, and that's check. I think that's it. Okay. Wow, I almost missed that because it's moving away. I have a weakness for that. I don't know if you guys experience this or not. Particular types of moves are weaknesses for you. One of mine that has showed up consistently throughout the life of this channel has been that the queen moving away from the angles toward the king. And this is one of those. I almost didn't see it. It looks like the king cannot move out of check. Looks like they would have to block with the knight, and then I would take it. Then the king would have to come out here, and then the rook could come down. I think that's it. Oh, they block. I didn't see that they could block with the queen. Well, okay, I can win the queen by removing the defender, right? Is that that's the case? Because then the king wouldn't have it. There's no other way. No other piece can capture here in the corner except the king, right? And it has to, because it's check. And then I win the queen because they're up on material right now. They're up a whole rook right now. And I'm giving away a rook. So they're going to be up 2 rooks for a queen. I did not see that they could block with the queen. If I had seen that, I probably wouldn't have moved there. I can't do this because my queen is pinned to my king. So I have to either take the queen, and then they'll take back, I assume. Then I would check, and then they would go back in there. So yeah, I think I have to go this way. I think I have to check with the rook on h1. They'll take it, and then I'll get the queen for free. But I'll still be a little up on material because I have extra pawns. Let's try it. That was it. Oh, wow. Okay, well, I'm pretty impressed with myself. I honestly was not expecting to get the first one out of the gate here. So I'm going to click next without looking at the rating of the puzzle or any of the themes. Okay, the king has just moved out of check because I had checked it here with my knight. I am playing with the black pieces. Okay. I find it interesting that their king can't move back that way because of my knight. I can check here or here. Is one of those better than the other one? Let's see. If I check here, the king can escape. If I check here, can the king escape? No. If I check there, that's checkmate. Pretty sure. Because it's protected by the pawn. And the queen cuts off all of these squares. And the knight cuts off that one. And of course, their own pieces are in the rest of the way. Wow. I might break 2100 in this session, but I'm trying not to get my hopes up. I'm trying to be realistic. Okay. They've challenged my bishop. First thing we look for is checks. I have to remember that. We're going to look for checks, we're going to look for captures, and we're going to look for threats. One thing before we do any of that we can note here is that I am currently not in trouble. My king is relatively safe. They don't have any checks on me right now. I'm always looking for that at the beginning of the puzzle so I know whether or not, like the last one, they were about to checkmate me. And so I had to make sure all my moves were checks. This one I do not have that problem because they're not about to checkmate me. They are about to win this knight, but I'm about to move that knight, I think, because I have a check. But I also have a check here. I also have a check here. Both of those knights can check on either one of those squares. So which one is it going to be? If I check with this knight, there are a couple problems with that. One is that I've gotten out of the way of this bishop capturing my rook. Another is that the king can easily get out of that check, right? If I check with the knight to c5, that king can get out of check here. All of the moves are available to it except that one and that one. Now, the same is going to be true for this. If I check with the other knight, that leaves the same problem where it is cutting off those two squares, but the king would have all the other ones available to it to get out of check. One advantage of that is that it leaves this knight in place, blocking the bishop's path to my rook, and the front knight would guard the back knight. They would protect each other. That leaves the problem of my bishop still hanging. That was one advantage of this knight checking, as that it allows the bishop to escape that pawn attack, and the knight here that's in front would be protecting the bishop, which is now attacking their bishop. So if I check here, their king moves out of check. I don't know where it's going to move. Then I assume I would put this bishop here to A, protect my rook, and B, get the bishop out of that attack that they've just launched with the pawn. Because right now I'm up a piece. Maybe that has to figure into this. But I'm not looking at a mate here. That's one thing I think that is sure. Depending on where their king goes, I'm not looking at a mate because the king has too many options. Now, if the king were to stay on this rank, this file, the D file, if I knew that were going to be the case, I would check with this knight first, because then I could bring my rook over for a follow-up check, and that would get the rook out of danger, but it would still leave the bishop in danger. So that's why I want to check with the B knight. I think that's it, but we'll find out. Oh, that was it. Okay, if that was it, and clearly I don't have a follow-up check here, I think it has to be moving the bishop down. That was the whole reason I chose that knight. Okay, and then I take back the bishop with my knight, and that was the puzzle. It was finding a way to save my bishop, or at least trade it off evenly, which I did. 20.99. Okay, 9 minutes. All right, let's keep going. Oh, I'm in a lot of trouble here, right? This is bad, but apparently not. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a puzzle. Okay, normally in a game, if my opponent has a rook and I have 3 pawns, and I'm about to be separated from those pawns, that's bad. But I think this move was a mistake that my opponent just made, because now they can't get out except to go right back where they were. I think if any king move, they should have gone this way. But I don't know that they should have made a king move in that position. I really don't know. Maybe I had the advantage before they made that move. I do know that if I check with this pawn, their king can slide in here or in front of the pawn. I don't know which one would be better, but it would have to do one of those two moves. The king would have to do one of those two moves. If it moved up to a7, then I can't follow my pawn into that little nook that I just created, because their king would be guarding that square. And then I guess I would move this pawn forward, but then they could check me, and I would have to, I guess, go here, and then they would check me, and then I would go here, and then they could win one of those pawns. That seems pretty complicated. This was my thinking. I was thinking, if I move this, my A pawn first, it's protected from behind. And because my C pawn still guards that square, their king then would have no moves, because my A pawn would be cutting off B8. My B pawn would be protecting the A pawn that just moved. My C pawn would be cutting off B7, so their king is essentially trapped. Then they would have to make a rook move. They might check me. I don't think they would take the pawn and give up the pawn for the rook. If they did, I think I would win. So I think if I play here, again, their king can't move, so they would check me. Then I would follow my pawn there, and then I would have mate on the next turn. Although they would probably try to check me here and sacrifice their rook at that point. So that's what I'm going to play, is a7, because it completely immobilizes their king. That was not it. All right. Well then, was it the middle one? It was the middle one. That's exactly what I thought they would do to keep me from following the pawn. Okay, because now I can't go in here. Should I move the? Whoops. I wish I could do that. Can I move? Should I have played then c7? Because then aren't they going to take out this protecting pawn? Oh, but then I would promote. And if they check, now I go this way, right? Well, now I can't go that way, so I have to go to one of these two. If I go here, oh, I think that's best. Because, no. Wait. If I go here, I thought for a second they would check me, but they can't. I would just take it. But if they take the pawn, then I would promote, right? Does it matter which way I go? If I go this way, oh, if I go that way, they check me. So I'll go this way. Okay, and then I promote. Okay, well, I miscalculated that completely. I'm going to take a look at the, I was going to take a look at the analysis board, but instead we just went back to the puzzle. So, okay, I meant to click the analysis symbol down here at the bottom and see why my first move was considered incorrect. Okay, because their king moves first, and that was a huge blunder, because before that, according to the analysis bar, we were drawn. So yeah, I'm thinking they should have gone that way. Oh no, they should have checked me first. That would have separated me from the pawns. Okay, I understand that, but instead they played there. And why was it a problem to go here? Okay, it says that takes us back to drawn. How though? How does that take us back to drawn? Because it says they would play rook. Their best move is rook to f1. Well, my plan. Oh no, their rook to f1 is this way. Okay, that's why it wasn't going to work. Because I was planning on going here with the idea of mating. But if they came down here, then I'm not threatening mate now, because they can always check me and I have to come back out. And then we have perpetual or something. Yeah, because I was going to go in there. But if they made, like if they played here and I went in there, what's the problem? Oh, it says they would play rook to a5. Oh, and when I take it, and I have to take it, that's stalemate. Because they can't get out. Okay, well, that was the problem with the move that I selected. So I'm going to close the analysis board and go on to the next puzzle. I now have at least 12 points before I can get to my ideal rating. Okay, they have checked me, so I have to get out of check. I cannot move my king out of check. I can block with the rook, but then they will take it. And then I would still have to block with my queen. So it makes sense to block with my queen. Now. What? Did I think that through too quickly? Oh my, I see it. If I block with my rook, they can't take it because they're going to be in check. Oh my. It was a one mover? Wow. Because that's a discovered check. Yep, it was one mover. So when they move out of check, which they have to, then I take their queen. Okay. Holy cow. Well, I'm probably not going to break 2100 in this video. Yeah, so I got overconfident. Okay. I'm playing with the black pieces. I have only a bishop and 3 pawns. My opponent has a knight and 5 pawns. But somehow that was a mistake. What advantage did that give me? I can't take the knight because it's protected by the pawn. If I play c6, I think they would take it. I could take back at that point, but then they could check me. Then I could move toward the knight. But that's just a pawn exchange. That doesn't make a lot of sense. What else do I have? I could move my f-pawn forward toward promotion. If they don't take, I just keep going and I promote it. I assume they would take with their g-pawn on f3. But then I would capture back with my g-pawn, right? Or would no, I would just go past it. Maybe that's it. Because yeah, if they don't take, I have a passed pawn. If they do capture, I have a passed pawn. And I think it might be best to go past rather than capture, because if I capture, they can get there with their king. But if I go this way, then they can't get there with their king before I can promote, I think. Well, they're going to get my bishop, I guess, but how many ways can I get out of check? Well, I can't go there because of the pawn. I can't go get there because of the other pawn. Can't go there because of the knight, there because of the king, or there because of the pawn. So I only have one legal move. Wait, the puzzle went one more move even though I only had one legal move in that position? What? Okay, that's just weird. But I did get 5 points for it. And I have like 12 minutes left on my clock, so I'm going to try to get those last 21 points. Let's see if we can do it. Okay, they've attacked my queen with their knight, but it's not check, so I don't have to do something there. I don't think. I can capture it. So we're even on material right now. I'm actually up a pawn. What do they do if I capture it? Do they capture back? And then they're threatening my rook, but I would just move my rook probably to here, protected by the queen. But they have a rook that can come down. That can cause all sorts of problems. What can I do besides capturing it? Because that seems obvious. That seems too obvious. What else do I have? I don't have a check with the queen other than capturing this knight, but that seems like a really bad idea. But I'm going to follow it out just in case. So many of these puzzles start with the queen sacrifice. Let's say I capture this knight. They could move out of check, but I think they would take back with their pawn. Then I could push this pawn, and that would be check, protected by the rook. And then they could just get out of check. But then I could check down there, and then they could just get out of check. So all that seems really complicated in losing a queen. So what else do I have? Like that doesn't do anything. Right? If I don't move my queen or capture that knight, I'm losing my queen right now. I'm pretty sure. And when I do lose my queen, that's going to be check. So it wouldn't do any good to like put the rook here threatening their queen, because when they take mine, it's going to be check. And then when I move out of check, then they're just going to move their queen out of danger from my rook. So nothing else makes sense, right? All right, well, something else made sense, apparently. Just not to my addled brain. It was to move my queen there, and then they would chase it, and then just take it. I mean, okay. And now take the... let me start that over. Okay, so because taking now, they would obviously take back, and then I would just have a kind of an empty threat on them, which they would probably counter by bringing their rook down. Okay, but this way I get my queen out of danger, and I protect the spot it just came from, so they wouldn't check me there. And then here, I'm still threatening the knight. So I force them to take my queen, so I get the knight. Okay, that makes sense to me now. But I have no hope of, I don't even have a hope now, I don't think, of getting back up to the point at which I started this video. What do I have? What do I have? Oh, I like this idea, because I'm getting better at spotting pins. The f-pawn is pinned. I can take this g-pawn with my rook on g3. And they couldn't take my queen because their queen would be pinned to the king. So I think their only way out for their queen then would be to take this pawn. Or go back into the corner. That's got to be it, right? Rook captures g3. They're going to lose their queen, or their queen's going to go into the corner. And if their queen won't be able to move. The queen's pinned. Once I capture this pawn, their queen is pinned by the rook. So they're going to lose their queen for a rook, and if not getting checkmated. So I think they would have to take the rook, and then I would take their queen. Because that pawn's still pinned, and this is check, and they move out of check, and now I take the pawn because the pawn's not pinned anymore. I certainly don't want to go here because the knight would capture. So I think I take the pawn, right? Wait, if I take the pawn, they're going to move the rook over. No, they're not, because then I would take it too. I think I take the pawn to save my queen, and if I move the queen, then they're going to take the bishop with the pawn. So I think I take the pawn. Okay. Well, then I take the rook, right? Yeah, I have to take the rook. Pretty sure. Okay. Well, I got 5 points, and I'm 11 points down from where I started the video. So it's going to be one of those. Okay. Oh, wow. I like endgame puzzles, but I do poorly at them when it's just kings and pawns. I like the fact that I have so few choices. So it should make it easier, right? For example, my g-pawn can't move at all, so I don't have to consider it. It's not an option. This pawn only has one possible move. My f-pawn has 2 choices. My king can't go to those squares, so it only has 3 choices. So I have 6 choices in this puzzle. 6 options. Not 50 like some of the other puzzles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's it. That's the only things I can possibly do. I don't think that's good because it gets in the way of this pawn. I don't think that's good. Actually, I don't know. That might be good. Let me think about that. H4 invites an exchange, because if they push forward, I would just capture. If they stay there, I would capture. So I think they would take, and then I would take, and that would have been a pawn exchange. And then they would have divided pawns left, and I would have connected pawns left. But they might move their king in here to keep me from getting back to my pawns. Oh no, but this pawn would be gone. I could just come back this way. Okay, so that's viable as a strategy in an endgame. But it might be losing. I don't know. I don't think this is good. F4, and I'll say I think that's because they would just take it. And even though that divides their pawns into a completely separated and doubled situation, I would just be missing one, and I would be in check, and I couldn't take back because their king is protecting that square. So I think F4 has to be discarded as an idea, because the best thing I could do there is just get in front of it. I guess I could go beside it in hopes of knocking off that pawn, so I would have a passed H pawn. But while I was trying to do that, right, then they're going to advance this one. Oh no, they can't because I would take it. Well, what about F3? What do they do then? They're going to move one of their other two pawns, right? Well, because they can't get their king any closer once I've played F3. So I think they would play one of their other two pawn moves. Another option I have is playing king to G4, which I like. I don't like those two king moves. I don't even think I'm going to consider them, just because what does king to F3 even do other than block that pawn? And what does king to H2 do other than put me further behind? Because I'm going that way. So what about king to G4? They could check me with their F pawn, but then I go over to the H file and they can't protect their H pawn. But when I do go over there, then I guess they could push their pawn again, but then I would take that pawn. And then if they push their pawn again, I can move past it. And then I'm going to come back and get this one. Also, moving here keeps their king from coming in. So I'm going to try that. I got it right. I was so sure I was going to get that wrong. I was also pretty sure they were going to play F, whatever that is, F5 to check me, which they still can because their king still guards that square. Now, what do they do if I come in here? Because I can't go in there, right? I think I want to go to H5 to attack their H pawn. But if I do, well, they can't come closer to my pawns this way because my pawns guard those two squares. But they could go here. Their king could go to F4, but I don't know why it would. Could check them now. But if I check them, that allows them this way, and then they can get to that pawn really easily. So I like the fact that my pawns are guarding those two squares. I'm going to go after their H pawn. Oh, that was it. Oh my. Okay. Well, can I get 6 more points in one more puzzle? Probably not. If I get 5, I'll just do one more, hoping to get back above 2083, which is where I started. Okay, do I have any checks? The only check I have in this position is queen captures H7, but that's not good. Positive, that's not good. Number 1, I don't have a follow-up, and that's the only check. So it's not a check. Do I have any captures in this position besides queen captures H7? I don't think I do. No captures. So it has to be a threat or something else. I can threaten the queen with this pawn, but I think they would just take it. I don't know if I don't think I should move my bishop. Right now, my bishop is keeping the knight from moving, I think, and keeping the queen from those two squares. I like that my bishop is, guarding those two diagonals. If I move my bishop backward, it disconnects the rooks, so that's not good. I don't think it's a bishop move. I am looking at this, though. I was thinking about they might check me on F3 with their knight, but wouldn't I just take it? If they checked me there, I think I would just take it with the bishop because the knight would be getting out of the way of that. Should I move my rook over? I don't know. Wow. Yeah, this position is looking pretty unclear to me. So maybe I shouldn't have clicked next and hoping to get 6 points for this because I don't have any pawn captures. I could move a pawn, but which one? I could move my queen. I don't want to put it here, for example, because then when they check me, their rook's pointed at my queen, although then I would just take their knight. So, but what does that do? Oh, is it that? Is it F4 forking those two pieces? I bet that's it. I always miss pawn forks, and I almost missed this one. What do they do, though, if I play that? What's their play? I assume they're going to move their queen at that point, and then I would win the knight? Surely not. Surely not that easy, but I don't see anything else, so I'm going to try that. Okay, that was it. They did move their queen, so I need to take their queen first, right? Or do I go here? If I take their knight and they take my queen, then I just take their queen back. So does it matter what order it happens in? Yes, it does. It does matter. If I take their queen now, they save their knight. So I got to take the knight first. Okay. Oh, I'm 1 point. Oh, please let the next puzzle be easy. So because I got to start it. I mean, it doesn't always work, but I like to end the puzzle with a higher score than I started. I mean, end the video. You know what I mean? Okay. I like this. I like discovered checks. You know this if you've been watching my puzzle videos. If I move this bishop anywhere, it's a discovered check. So where should I move it? One place I could move it is right there to c3, because that not only is that threatening the rook, but it's threatening this bishop. Their king is in check from my queen here, and then I would win the bishop, right? But wait. All I have left are these 3 pieces. What happened to all the rest of my pieces? My opponent's up 2 rooks. 2 whole rooks. Maybe it's not that then. Let's see. If I go there, where does the king go? Here. And then if I take their bishop, I'm still threatening the rook. But maybe at that point I should check. And then they would have to go over 1. And then I would take their bishop. But if it's this way though, because that keeps them from going there, forces them that. Okay, that's it. I think it's right there. I think it's bishop to e3. Because that keeps them from escaping. Because again, this is going to be a check. They can't block it. They don't have any piece that can get to d2. And the bishop, my bishop, prevents them from going to the c file. So they would have to go to the e file, one of those 2 ways, right? And then I would bring my queen up. So here, I don't know which one they would escape to, e1 or e2. But either way, I would follow with check on d2. If they had gone to e1 and I check here, that forces them to f1, and then my queen here would be mate. If my first move is here and they come up, then I'm not sure. Let's see. Queen to d2, but because then they can escape out around, but then that's still mate either way. It's there. It's got to be. That surprised me and shocked me just a little bit, but that's because they know that mate is coming, so the computer's throwing everything in there that they can. I assume now, yeah, the other bishop's going to get in the way. I'm going to keep moving forward. I'm going to go to d2, and then f2 is mate. 2090. Okay, well, I didn't get to 2100, but I did end at a higher score than I started. Thank you for watching. I hope you learned something. I think maybe I did, or at least, if nothing else, I ingrained some more patterns into my brain. We'll see you next time.